Forget inside the cage. Sometimes the real fight ignites before the bell. Bottles, chairs, fighters launched like missiles.
That's all right. Hey, Connor, don't throw the camp, Connor.
Because in MMA, the deepest cuts happen long before fists fly. Get ready, because the deeper we go, the crazier it gets. It always starts the same. A little trash talk, a little chest puffing. Then, someone crosses the line. Next thing you know, water bottles are flying, security's diving, and careers are never the same. These press conferences sometimes become battlefields, and the deeper we go, the wilder it gets. Stick around, because you won't believe the chaos that actually forced Dana White to shut down an entire press conference. And trust me, it only gets wilder from here.
And here we go.
Nobody ever worked a microphone like Conor McGregor. He didn't just answer questions, he owned every presser. Take the build-up to his Aldo showdown. Conor strolls in late, Irish flags waving, chants echoing. Then, this happens.
No, wait a sec. Go ahead. This guy first.
Conor, man, good to see you. You've got like 3,000 Irish lads here, red-blooded. Tell us, we want to know what Jose's smells like.
Jose looks shook. Conor, calm, cocky, already winning the psychological battle long before stepping into the cage.
Jose, are you listening? Jose, keep that belt listening. McGregor's coming for you. He'll do you in 2. 1 minute, McGregor, 1 on him.
And that was just the start. Conor delivered classic moments at almost every presser. Fast forward to another presser, Jeremy Stephens tries to steal the spotlight, crowing that he's the division's hardest hitter. Without missing a beat, Conor leans in and casually asks,
Who the is that guy?
In seconds, Stephens' dignity evaporates, and McGregor's mic legend grows. Conor didn't just sell fights, he sold moments. He turned trash talk into theater, and himself into a global phenomenon long before he ever threw a punch. If Conor was the king of swagger, Chael Sonnen was the king of delusion. And somehow, he made you believe it. He grabs his own shoe, lifts it to his ear, and says,
Instead, people keep going to Vanderlei Silva. You want to hear from Vanderlei Silva? You want to know how you could get as much tantalizing conversation from something as Vanderlei Silva? Just talk to my shoe.
The crowd, somewhere between laughter and disbelief. And the absurdity didn't stop there. He claimed Anderson Silva was ducking him. He joked Brazilians needed 2 translators just to understand basic insults. But the wildest moments? Sonnen delivering this legendary line.
Tito always says I'm using my mouth to get my opportunities. The only person I know that made money using their mouth is his ex-wife.
Well, just to correct you, I was never no marriage. You're a punk, dude.
Win, lose, or even after getting triangle choked unconscious, Chael would still show up at the next press conference and declare himself the real champion. And somehow, you almost believed him. Trash talk is expected on stage, but when it erupts on stage, but not directed at the person talking, that's a whole new level. At the UFC 314 press conference, Diego Lopez casually dismissed a question about facing Yair Rodriguez. Sitting right there at the table, Yair heard every word as Lopez mocked and dismissed him. In an instant, Rodriguez launches from his seat, shouting in rapid-fire Spanish that left translators scrambling. Security dives, reporters scatter, the stage explodes into full talk show brawl chaos. This wasn't a promotional stunt. This was raw, unfiltered emotion on a global stage. When genuine animosity enters the arena, no one is safe, not even security. You couldn't script a bigger clash of personalities if you tried. Sean O'Malley, vibrant, goofy, floating into press conferences dressed like a psychedelic peacock. Piotr Jan, dead silent, stone cold, the human embodiment of a Russian winter storm. No smiles, no jokes, just frozen rage.
При чем тут рост? Вы посмотрите на его вид. Это как девушка с дороги, я не знаю.
It's not about the height. Just look at him. He's like a whore on the side of the road.
Any response, Sean, or are you just going to leave that one there?
No, that was good. That was good.
The stare down, though, completely different energy. As they squared off, Jan's icy exterior finally cracked, and he shoved O'Malley back so hard you could hear the thud echo off stage. At that moment, everyone knew. This wasn't going to be a playful sparring match. This was going to be a fight O'Malley had to survive. Normally, fighters pick battles that make sense. But Manel Kopp, he decided that night he was going to throw hands with physics itself. After unloading insults and a flying water bottle, Kopp's rage ricocheted off the stage and locked onto a new target, Israel Adesanya. Middleweight champion, 8 inches taller, 50 pounds heavier, literal monster energy standing right across from him, standing right there on stage. Kopp didn't care. He squared up, pointed a finger right at Adesanya's chest, and screamed, "Stand up, mother effer."
Stage. Yes, stand up, mother. Stand up, mother. What you want? What you want? What you want to? What you want? All right, yeah. Shut the f up. Sit down. Yo, things is with Sit the f down. Sit down. Sit down, yo.
There's an unwritten rule in fight promotion. Trash talk is fair game until you bring up someone's mom. At the UFC summer kickoff, Kevin Lee forgot that rule. During a typical back and forth with Michael Chiesa, Lee casually, almost carelessly, dropped a comment about Chiesa's mother.
And over there, Mike Johnson talking about he gonna kill somebody. He got 30 fights, lost half of them. Ain't killed the mother yet.
And instantly, it was like someone flipped a switch. Chiesa didn't think. Chiesa didn't blink. He just leapt across the stage like a heat-seeking missile. Security dove in, chairs toppled, reporters ducked, and somewhere in that flying chaos, fists may have landed. In that moment, Kevin Lee learned a simple, brutal truth. Some things you just don't joke about. Moms are sacred. If you think crossing that line was wild, wait until you see the backstage war at UFC 279 that even shut down the press conference. Stay tuned, nothing tops what's next. Press conferences are supposed to hype the fight. At UFC 279, the hype turned into an all-out backstage war. It started with a shove, then a slap, then Khamzat Chimaev and Kevin Holland throwing hands before the cameras even rolled. And when Nate Diaz and his 47-person squad rolled up, all hell officially broke loose. Bottles flying, security overwhelmed, coaches yelling, fans scattering. And somewhere in the middle of the madness, Dana White took one look at the chaos, took a long sigh, and walked out on his own press conference. This was the moment the press conference became so wild, they had to pull the plug. When even Dana White, the man who once promoted a bus attack for pay-per-view sales, says, "Nope, we're done here," you know it's bad. Before we hit the absolute craziest press conference moment ever, we need to talk about the man who broke 2 champions without even throwing a punch. Dricus du Plessis didn't need insults. He didn't need a face-off. He just spoke calmly about roots, identity, trauma, and somehow triggered 2 of the coldest killers in the sport. First, Israel Adesanya. Normally, cool, calculated, unshakable. But after Dricus questioned his African roots, the tension exploded. It ignited first in the cage after Dricus' win over Robert Whittaker, where Adesanya unleashed a wild, charged rant face-to-face. Then, months later, at the heated UFC 305 pre-fight press conference, the psychological pressure visibly got to Adesanya. Facing Dricus again, talking about his family and journey, Adesanya broke down in tears right there on stage.
God. Watch this. I'm a human being. I am a man. I can cry and whoop your ass at the same time.
Next up, Sean Strickland, one of MMA's most savage trash talkers. A man who mocks others for showing weakness, and yet, after Dricus casually referenced his childhood trauma, Strickland crumbled, publicly sobbing on a podcast. Completely raw, completely real.
It's one of the hard things that people don't understand, like trauma, you know?
Yeah.
One man, 2 emotional meltdowns, 0 octagon time needed. Dricus du Plessis, MMA's most dangerous fighter, and maybe its most brutal psychologist. You think it's been wild so far? Now we're entering the deep end, the most savage, career-altering moments in MMA press conference history. Buckle up. Trash talk is part of the game. Mind games? All part of the sell. But at UFC 229, the game stopped, and something darker took over. Conor McGregor didn't just insult Khabib Nurmagomedov. He attacked his religion, his family, his culture, his very identity, offering whiskey to a devout Muslim on stage, mocking his father, his country, even political ties back home. This wasn't hype, this wasn't promotion, it was personal. And through it all, Khabib stayed stone still. No shouting, no smiling, just pure cold fury brewing under the surface. When they finally faced off, the air itself felt heavy. The room, usually buzzing with excitement, sank into dead silence. Even the reporters stopped taking notes. 2 men staring at each other, one shouting, one plotting. And when fists finally flew at UFC 229, it wasn't just about gold belts anymore. It was about revenge. And the chaos that followed would become legendary. Some rivalries are professional. This one was pure hatred. John Jones and Daniel Cormier didn't just dislike each other, they despised each other. By the time they faced off at the UFC 214 press conference, the gloves weren't just off, they were shredded, burned, and buried. The tension was thick, the insults flying, and in a rivalry defined by brutal honesty, one moment cut deeper than any punch. Words were thrown that revealed the true, raw hatred between them. A moment that left the crowd stunned. This wasn't about fighting for a title anymore. It was a battle for dignity, fought with the sharpest of tongues. 2 legends pushing each other to the absolute edge with every single word. And the worst part? They still had to fight the next night. Some press conferences end with a handshake, some end with a shove. But at UFC 202, it ended with a full-blown flying object free-for-all. Conor McGregor showed up late, swaggering onto the stage like he owned the place. Nate Diaz, already fed up, he flipped a few insults, threw a few gestures, then decided he wasn't sticking around. Diaz and his crew started walking out through the crowd, hurling middle fingers and shouting. McGregor didn't just sit there. He grabbed a water bottle and launched it across the theater like a quarterback in the 4th quarter. Bottles, cans, energy drinks. Tell me you wouldn't have ducked under your seat too. It turned into a full-scale water war, live on stage in front of a packed house. Security scrambled, Dana White threw his hands in the air, reporters ducked under the tables. Conor and Nate still firing verbal grenades and literal beverages. This wasn't a press conference, it was a battlefield. And somewhere in that rain of flying monster energy cans and F-bombs, an entire rivalry was cemented. The great bottle war of UFC 202, still undefeated. That was absolute madness.
I'm not surprised, mother.
Which moment was the wildest to you? Drop your pick in the comments below. If you survived the chaos, smash that like button and subscribe to MMA Amplified for more insane moments. Don't lose the momentum. The next jaw-dropping moment's one click away.